This is Roswellness, brought to you by the Prostate Cancer Center at Roswell Park. Your team opinion for your total options. Your host, Tim Wenger.
And we are back with Roswellness, our complete look at cancer-related issues, including treatment, diagnosis, and research from the resources of the great folks at Roswell Park Cancer Institute, a comprehensive cancer treatment facility in Buffalo, New York. This week, a couple of guests who need very little in the way of introduction. Dr. Donald Trump is with us again. He is the president and CEO of Roswell Park. Dr. Trump, welcome back to the program.
Thank you very much, Tim. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks for being here. I know you're a busy one. And also with us today, another busy guy, Congressman Brian Higgins from Buffalo.
Good to be here, Tim. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And today, to talk a little bit about cancer research and funding for cancer research. And Dr. Trump, I guess we'll start with you. I'm sure you're reaching out to Congressman Higgins from time to time for a holler of support. And where are we at as far as cancer research funding is concerned as it relates to Roswell and in general?
Well, Roswell has done well over the last several years in an environment where accessibility to federal and foundation funds for cancer research has been challenging. But I'm very pleased that the current environment with regard to establishing funds that are available for cancer research has gotten much more attractive, both through the recognition from leaders such as Congressman Higgins of the need to support the research mission of our National Institutes of Health more fully, and also as part of the federal stimulus dollars, there is money being allocated specifically for research, and some of that will go to cancer research. So I think this is it's an exciting time in research, and also an exciting time as more resources become available to speed that research.
Certain things I think we expect to be difficult in getting money for, and certain things I think the public has a perception would be easy. I would think cancer research, funding for cancer research would be something that people are very, very interested in turning over. But I mean, obviously there are some challenges. Talk about those.
Well, there are challenges at many levels. Over the last several years, there have been many priorities for our federal dollars, and funding for the National Institutes of Health and cancer research funded by the federal government has been flat or in real dollars decreasing for the last several years because the government has been spending their finite resources in other directions. The current environment, as I mentioned, is improving with the allocation of more funds to support research in general and cancer research as well. But even with those increased funds, there are also many other institutions, many scientists competing for those funds, and ultimately that's a good mechanism because the best ideas win out, and those ideas with the most promise will be advanced more quickly.
Congressman, you've taken a pretty close interest, a personal interest in supporting cancer research. Why?
Well, cancer research is important for the good that it can do relative to health care and increasing the survival of those who are afflicted with cancer. But as Dr. Trump pointed out, it's also good for the Western New York economy. Roswell is one of 41 comprehensive cancer centers, the entire nation. Buffalo gave the nation and the world cancer research. About 120 years ago, the predecessor of Roswell Park Cancer Institute was the New York State Cancer Laboratory. And there were doctors, Dr. Gaylord, Dr. Park, were doing research on fish, trout actually, for thyroid cancer. And the inspiration of what was going on in Buffalo found its way all the way to Washington, and William Howard Taft was the first president in 1910 to ask Congress for an appropriation to do cancer research. So it's very, very important. We spend about $220 billion a year to treat cancer. It is a significant part of our healthcare obligation. I'm one who believes very strongly that at the center of healthcare reform is finding new treatments for cancer. There's very promising research going on throughout the nation, and those treatments not only, we want them to become available but we also want them to be accessible. And that's our goal. And working in Congress to try to make the federal government's commitment to cancer research that much more significant. Everybody's affected by cancer, either directly or indirectly. 1 in 3 women will develop invasive cancer in their lifetime. 1 in 2 men, because men smoke more, will develop cancer. It exacts a huge economic cost in our society and an emotional cost as well.
Cancer research comes in many ways, shapes and forms, comes from many places. You mentioned 41, centers like Roswell Park. So there's 40 other Dr. Trumps out there raising their hands saying, me, pick me, I need funding. What are you doing? What is Congress doing? What can you get Congress to do to get them to notice Dr. Trump over here, who needs to bring his fair share to Western New York?
Well, I think that's the problem. I think the good thing about Dr. Trump and others is they speak a language which is accessible to a general population. And keep in mind, Congress plays a significant role in determining the level of cancer research funding. But if you don't understand the intricacies of the whole cancer research field, then you don't get it. And I often say that the only failure in cancer research is when you quit or you're forced to quit because of lack of funding. The fact of the matter is medical research, cancer research is a continuum. The effort has to be sustained over the longer term. And as Dr. Trump had pointed out, cancer research took a hit over the past 6 years. When factored in with inflation, it was about a 20% cut in cancer funding, whereas between 1998 and 2003, the federal government's commitment to the National Institutes of Health, the National Cancer Institute, doubled in that period of time. And you're seeing today tremendous new therapies that are available in the form of this family of drugs that's called, smart drugs. Herceptin for breast cancer has been very, very effective. Avastin for lung cancer, Gleevec for gastrointestinal stromal tumors, all very, very effective. But these are drugs or antibodies, agents that have become available only within the last 5 years, and there are literally hundreds of new smart drugs that are in the pipeline that can become available in the next 5 to 10 years, and they're highly effective in treating the cancer cell without destroying the healthy cells. And I think that's the significance of these new smart drug treatments.
Dr. Trump, Congressman Higgins used the phrase never quit, and I know that's something in the treatment world of cancer that certainly you never want the patients to quit. They need to fight, and in a strong patient, as you've told me on previous shows, probably is the best and the most successful. But there is that dichotomy, I guess, of interest between research and treatment. When someone's family, someone personally is afflicted with cancer, it's all about treatment. Is it difficult to keep research center stage in your world, because treatment is so centric to the people that are actually afflicted at this moment?
I don't think it is, Tim, because I and my colleagues at Roswell Park and other similar centers around the country recognize that the best treatment is almost always done in the context of research, clinical trials, testing new agents that are carefully designed studies to improve on the standard, examining characteristics of tumors that can be removed in the course of normal treatment to try to develop the new smart drugs that Congressman Higgins was referring to. I mean, there's never been a more exciting time in biology understanding the components of the genetic structure of normal humans as well as a person's tumor. And I think the beauty of a comprehensive cancer center is that it is a full integration of research in the cause of cancer, prevention of cancer, treatment of cancer, as well as the education of the next generation of cancer researchers and cancer care providers. So the commitment of a place like Roswell Park really allows all those